Hello and welcome back. So, as you can tell, I am in a new space. We have moved. And we are currently picking paint colors, as you can see by my massive swatch on the wall over there. But ignoring all that, I just wanted to let you know that one, my chair I'm in is incredibly squeaky, so I'm so sorry for that. But two, I had the full intention of coming on here today and just reviewing the F1 movie, giving my thoughts and opinions on it. And then fucking Silverstone happened. And Christian got fired. There's rumors about Max moving to Mercedes. Like, everything's just gone down in like the last week, 2 weeks. And I am so tired. So I thought I would give my thoughts on the Christian Horner news, the potential Max Verstappen news, and then we'll round it all off with a brief overview of how I felt about the Formula One movie. And we'll do it all. We're gonna do it all, and it's gonna be great. But yeah, obviously because I've been moving, I've been a bit very busy between that and work and everything. So I might not have everything right, and that's okay. We're just rolling with it. This is summer school, baby. Yeah, but without further ado, let's get into it, starting with the Christian Horner news. So as you may or may not have heard, Christian Horner has been fired from Red Bull. Rumors are that it had like half of the ownership wanted to fire him earlier, and it took like this long for the other half to come around. Everything's kind of still swirling. It only got announced like 2 days ago that he's out. And he's been replaced by Laurent Mekies, who is currently the team principal down at Racing Bulls. And they've obviously brought someone in to replace him at Racing Bulls as well. This is interesting. Basically, the entire theory is that it is down to poor performance on top of the scandal that happened last year with Christian, where, for those of you who don't know, he was, because it's never been proven, we have to use the words allegedly. He was allegedly not great to female staff. What is it? He was accused of sexual harassment, controlling behavior, things like that. Allegedly. He has been cleared by lawyers of this, but this is all lawyers who work for the team and stuff. So it's like, people are kind of still taking that with a grain of salt, if that makes sense. But it didn't take that for them to get fired. It took them just not winning. That's what it took for them to fire him. So yeah, he's out. Really excited to see if this means improvements for Yuki, because Yuki has been struggling in that second seat at Red Bull. Poor thing. But as we all know, historically, that Red Bull seat is not for winning. You kind of just get put in there and you struggle. Unfortunately, in the last few years is what has happened to that seat. So, yeah, that's kind of all I know about the Christian Horner stuff. Since it is so new, it's hard to tell what is real, what is just assumption, what we can confirm, you know? So there's like that. There is also the suspicion that part of the reason he was let go was to keep Max happy, and to keep Max at Red Bull, because the other rumor that is circulating here after Silverstone is that Max is going to move to Mercedes next year, and that they're going to get rid of George. I'll be honest, I don't think this is true. I don't think Max is going to go to Mercedes. But we will see now that Christian's gone. So that's the other big thing, is people joking about it's going to be Max and Kimi next year at Mercedes and not George. Again, everything's very rumor milled. We will see, we will know, in the next 2 months probably. Mercedes tends to lock their people in relatively early. They're not one of these last minutes. But in a piece of good news from the Silverstone weekend, Nico Hülkenberg got his first podium. So congratulations to him. Really fun for him. He's been racing for 15 years and this is his first podium or something like that. 10, 15 years. Congrats to him. And the McLaren double finish. Let's go. It means my fantasy teams are doing fantastic. That's really what this means for me. So, moving on to what I actually wanted to talk about. I went and saw the Formula One movie on its opening weekend. And my God, was it not what I thought it was going to be. I knew the movie had been done by the same guy who'd done Top Gun Maverick, so I was expecting all these really great shots, which it had. However, there were a lot of issues for me in this movie, and before I get too deep into it, to give myself a little background, I did a degree in theater, and within that degree we had to do a lot of movie and theater critiques. Specifically, I did theater production, so like I understand like how things get made, right? So it's, from a production standpoint, it looks great. It's really where I struggled was in the writing of the movie. I was gonna call it a show. It's not a show. The plot didn't feel strong enough to be driving this forward. It really did just feel like I was watching Formula One promo for 2 hours. It was just really weird because it also had this issue in the movie where there was like a level of like, we're gonna bring this person into the plot and then we're gonna like touch on them every so often, but like they're not really integral to the plot. And I found this to be the case with like there was one member of the pit crew, the only female member of the pit crew they had, where it's like they show her messing up a tire change at one point, and then she kind of like, she doesn't necessarily buddy up with Brad Pitt's character, but she like listens to him more and then like improves and keeps going and driving, like just doing better, right? But it's one of those really weird things where it's like, he had one like 3-sentence conversation with her where he was like, hey, it happens, you just have to do better next time, basically, to her. And then like the whole movie they keep cutting back to her, and she felt like an unnecessary side plot. And I would have felt this way if it was anyone else, because there's also just like people where it's like, they did this a lot with some people where it's just like the other guy's manager, whose name I'm forgetting, like his weird subplot of him just wanting to go to party and everything, like it had no relevance on the actual movie. And it was just really weird that they kept bringing up like having him come in and go like, oh, we need to go to this thing, we're gonna go party. And it's just like, okay, cool. And there's just a lot of little subplots like that where it's just like, either you need to develop it further and have it be a main like issue in the film, well, not main, but like a bigger issue than it is, or you need to have it be that 3-line thing, and then we don't need to keep bringing them up. We don't need to keep doing this character stuff. But that was really minor compared to my main issue with the whole film, is that it's very hard to suspend your disbelief while you watch this movie. So when you go to a movie or a theater show, the main goal of that show and like the agreed upon action between the performance of whatever you're watching and the audience is that they are willing to suspend their disbelief. They basically, it's like when you see Lion King on stage, you know those are people with like just animal heads on top, but you're willing to pretend they're not and that they are the animal character you know from the movie. You're suspending your disbelief, right? And I had a really hard time doing that in this movie because they used too many real world people and teams and all this. And it also didn't help that I know what the McLaren Technology Center looks like. So every time they would film there and make it the APX team thing, I was like, it's not, that is McLaren's. So that's where I felt this movie failed. It didn't let me suspend my disbelief, because really what it felt like is that they shot all these gorgeous shots of these car races and then all the these regular style movie shots of them like having conversations in garages and like doing things outside of like hotels and stuff. And then they just like cut in footage that looks like it was pulled off of Drive to Survive, of like other drivers in the pit lane like looking around and like very like background B-roll stuff. And then it's like, because it really bothered me in one clip in the movie where it's like they talk about Pierce starting before Hamilton or something, because I want to say it's they've had a red flag or something and everyone's had to go into the pit lane and they're going to have to reform, right? And Pierce will be ahead of Hamilton when they reform. And they just cut to this clip of Hamilton, like, just turning his head like he's supposed to be looking at Pierce. But because you know, like, you can tell in the way he does it that he hasn't been given direction to do this. This is just him turning his head. So there's no weight to his action. There doesn't feel like there's motivation behind anything. And just every time they show them, it made me go, oh, this is a clip from Drive to Survive I've seen. I've seen this clip on Drive to Survive. Because I wouldn't be shocked if that's where they pulled some of these clips. It's from Drive to Survive or other F1 stuff. And it just makes it hard to try to be in it. Like, I think it would have been better had they not shown any of the drivers or the team principals. Because it's also just like, they do fake interviews with like Fred Vassar and Zach Brown along with like the team principal in the movie, or like Toto comes and talks to one of the drivers at the end and it's like, oh, if you ever consider moving, call me. And it's just like, it's all these little things where it takes you out, and I almost would have rather them kept the team names but made up characters for all the teams, or just been like, clearly this is meant to be a team principal but it's not one that really exists, right? And I think that's where they failed, is they made it too realistic, so then it just takes you out of it. Because you'd watch races and then you'd go, yeah, but like, I saw that race when it ran, that's not how that finished. Like, I know who won that race actually, or I know where people finished in that race actually. And it's just, it makes it really weird. It was too trying to shoehorn it into stuff that had already happened, instead of pretending these races were different events and that they didn't happen almost different, like just slightly differently than they did in real life. Like, if we're gonna use real race footage, we might as well pretend that like Max crashed out and got last or something. Like, let's really make up a plot line, you know? And it bothered me because it did make it very hard to want to like be in the world every time they cut to these other people. I think it even could have been improved if they just mentioned the people but never showed them. Like, I don't need to see Lando, Lewis, Alex, Carla. I don't need to see them in this movie. They're not who this movie's about. They don't even speak. So showing these weird clips of all of them doing stuff just doesn't really help. Like, if that makes sense. It really just distracts from the actual plot of the movie. Which, let's not even get into the actual plot, because it felt like we were grasping at straws to get a plot through this movie. And it was just like, the repetitiveness of certain things in the plot, like, we're gonna do this, and then it's gonna repeat, and we're gonna repeat it, and we're gonna repeat it, or it's like, change, fail, change, fail, change, fail, change, fail, right? On the car. It's like, how many times can we do this before it's just repetitive and boring? Like, I do know that is how the sport does work. But this is a movie, we're dramatizing it. It's not real. Let's go, big catastrophe. I need someone to crash out and like, not like in a car, but like mentally crash out and like go run all the way off. Like, we should be having to go to like remote islands off the coast of Iceland to get people to come back to join our team if we're really struggling that bad. You know, like, I needed bigger stakes, because the stakes felt so low. And I don't know if it's just because some people felt like they didn't have chemistry at all times between the actors, or what. It was really weird. It did feel like that the girl who played the part of the pit crew, she was in the pit crew, who like struggled and overcame it. I feel like she had better chemistry with Brad Pitt than the woman they had as the chief design engineer did at times. And it's just like, if he's supposed to be romantically interested in the chief design engineer, I shouldn't feel like he has better chemistry, not even like romantically, just general chemistry with a different actress. Like, something didn't work in the performance, and I don't know if it's the way they edited it, what scenes they chose to use. It was just very bleh. The whole movie was just kind of like, it's fun to watch the cars go fast, but like, I'm not watching it for the plot. The plot's boring. I could have guessed the plot, to be very honest, which is never great. I never want to go into a movie and feel like, oh, I know what's gonna happen. Oh, that's the guy who's gonna end up being kind of like evil in this situation. Like, I don't want to be able to do that. I want movies to be good, and I want them to surprise me. And I I feel like there's so much more this F1 movie could have been than what we got, because we got very little about the struggle and like the time put in to be an F1 driver before getting to Formula One. We just kind of got like they're there and they'll be like, yeah, my dad's dead and he really supported me, but it's like we don't get anything past that. And I struggled. I think the plot was a big issue, and I think grounding it too much in the real world was an issue as well. We needed to like pull back on the real worldness. Like, fine, use clips from races and stuff, but like don't have that be what the plot actually revolves around. And then our actual plot between our main characters, we need to have more meat than just like, we need to go faster, you know, like we need to go faster and I think you're really pretty. Like that was like the two main plots. Well, actually there was three. There was also, I kind of hate you, but if you listen to me, you know I'm right. Like I want to dig deeper. We didn't get down into any conflict really. Interpersonal conflict. Like our interpersonal conflict was very surface level. We were only doing like this, right? I want the interpersonal conflict to get like, we need to get in it. You gotta dig down and get in it. And I don't think we really did. I think the best interpersonal conflict we had was between Pierce's mother and Brad Pitt's character. Everything else was like surface level interpersonal conflict and like attachment. So it was just like they kind of almost got there with Brad Pitt and Pierce, like, but it just was so, we didn't get all the way into it. I needed people having more fights. I needed people to just like show emotion more, I guess. It felt, there was a lot of things that felt very emotionless when they said them. And I don't know if that's down to direction, again, editing, whatever, but that is my opinion on the F1 movie. I would love to hear yours. I went with my boyfriend. He loved it. He doesn't watch Formula One or follow it as much as I do, so it's like there are conflicting opinions. But yeah, let me know what you think about the movie, and let me know what you think about Max potentially moving to Mercedes, and about Christian Horner's firing. That is all I have this week for this lecture. I know it was very rambly and kind of multiple things at once, but I hope you enjoyed. As always, please remember to do your extra credit homework by liking, commenting, and subscribing. And I will see you for our next lecture. Bye-bye!